Namaste guys, ChristianRLong, Life Enhancement Consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out earlier than usual on this Wednesday afternoon. It's almost afternoon. It's about 12 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado. Jumping on real quick, we have the newsletter that we're writing later on today, and then healing and what have you. So I kind of wanted to end the day earlier. So I thought I'd do the stream now versus doing the stream later on this evening. And we get a different group of people on, right? So we get to mix it up. Quiet mode. We get to mix it up. So I was thinking, well, what would be a relevant topic to you guys? And what's something that we have to deal with? Namaste. What's a topic that we have to deal with on a regular basis in our interactions and relationships with other people? So there's a famous commercial from the 1980s. Some of you may remember it like it was yesterday. Some of you, because you're too young, have absolutely no clue what I'm talking about. But you're probably familiar with Eggo waffles, right? You can find them at any grocery store, anywhere in the United States, and probably outside the United States. And the reason I got this on, you guys said for the past 2 days it's been hard to hear. So I thought this might be a solution to the problem. So you see the little Eggo waffles. And back in the day, in the 1980s, they had a commercial where one family member would put the Eggo waffle into the toaster, hit the button, and then they would walk away to do whatever, offset. Who knows what they were doing, right? It's a commercial. And then the Eggo would pop up after it's, cooked in the toaster, and then another family member, a brother, a sister, a parent, would try to grab the Eggo waffle to put it on their plate, and then the person who put the waffle in originally said, "Hey, let go my Eggo. Let go of my Eggo. Let go of my Eggo waffle," meaning give me that back, right? And I thought to myself, how often do we do that in our relationships with other people? We have healthy attachment. Anna, namaste. Aren't you in class? We have healthy attachment. We have unhealthy attachment. We have healthy detachment and unhealthy detachment. So I remember a long, long time ago, one of the master pranic healers was giving the example of relationships, and he was using a water bottle as the example. And he says, when a relationship is going well, you like the little Colorado promo? When the relationship is going well, you're attached, right? You're attached to the relationship. You're attached to the thoughts, the feelings, the physical body of the other person, right? You're attached. Now, when that relationship starts becoming unhealthy, maybe there's mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, some kind of negativity in some way, shape, or form. If we stay attached to that, that's what causes suffering. So the better way to do it is to recognize, to have a level of awareness, to have a level of self-honesty, and you go, this isn't working anymore for all of these different reasons. So what I'm going to do is healthily detach, put that relationship down, and either be unattached to something, no attachment at all, or find another relationship that is more healthy, more rewarding, etc., right? The thing is, in our current day and age, with social media, with all the dating apps, the dating websites, the dating events, that people are unwilling, in most cases, to work on the realization of where are they showing up in the relationship. Are they showing up in a kind, loving, patient, tolerant, and understanding way? Or is it just a lack of compatibility, right? There's awareness that, you know what, you have your way of being, I have my way of being, and there's lack of compatibility, right? So you detach and you let that person go. As soon as it becomes abusive, detach and you let that person go. But what do we typically do? We typically hold on to something that's not serving us or the other person, and we drag it out for a period of weeks, months, or even years, suffering and dragging this person through the process. And that's where suffering comes into play. It's when we are excessively attached. So for instance, let's say you have this water bottle, but this one you like this pour better, right? So what do you have to first do? You have to detach and reattach. Excuse me. Some cords in the throat. So that's all life is. It's a series of attachment, detachment, and reattachment, right? So we suffer when we start putting in all this excessive mental and emotional energy, right? It's like, I'm in this abusive relationship. It's causing me so much pain, so much sorrow, so much suffering. The other person doesn't see eye to eye with me. The other person is unwilling to grow, unwilling to evolve, unwilling to become a better person. And we stay attached to the relationship, but we continue to suffer. Versus, hey, it's not working out anymore. Detach, let go, let the other person move on with their lives. You move on with your life. It's all that in a bag of chips, right? Which is very convenient that I have water right here. So in the example of the famous commercial from the 1980s with Eggo waffles, let go my ego, there's a level of addiction and there's a level of unhealthy attachment and excessive attachment in the example of that commercial. Because think about it. Any marketing company that works for a product or service is going to want you to become partially, if not entirely, addicted to that product or service. Why? Because the more attention you give it, the more profits they make. The more times you purchase it, the more profits that they make. The longer you're using it, the more profits that they make, right? So every company has a built-in incentive to have you addicted to something. Now, you have healthy addiction, right? So you could be healthily addicted to exercising, healthy addicted to meditation, healthy addicted to having good relationships with other people. And I'm using addicted in the sense of attachment. You can be attached to something that's good, attached to a good exercise routine, attached to a good meditation routine, attached to a good relationship, or you can be unhealthily attached to all of those things, right? I'm sure we know one or two or many people who are, we would consider them exercise fanatics or exercise junkies or adrenaline junkies, that their attachment to what they do actually causes them suffering. Because when they're not doing the thing that they're attached to, they're living in misery. That's an addiction, right? Pranic healing defines an addiction as an unregulated, unwholesome, excessive desire. An unregulated, unwholesome, excessive desire. That's what an addiction is. Salvador, have a namaste. So in the example with the Eggo waffle from the 1980s, the people are being seen as addicted to their waffle, addicted to their breakfast, and they're suffering if the person takes their waffle. Hey, let go of my ego, right? But what would it be if you just said, well, wait a minute, maybe my parent, maybe my brother or sister, I may not, but namaste, needs the waffle more than I do. They need breakfast before I do. They're rushing out the door. They can take my waffle, and I can just get another waffle. And if that's the last waffle, then okay, you move on. You have a bowl of cereal. But that's not the purpose of the commercial. The purpose of the commercial is to make the individual become addicted to that product or service, which is understandable, right? They're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of putting together cute commercials. They're in the business of selling a product or service in mass quantities to the masses, right? That's the interesting thing. People have to realize that yes, businesses can do goodwill and the will to do good, but at the end of the day, a business cannot stay in business if it's not profitable, right? A business cannot stay in business if it's not profitable. That's why I actually like when Grandmaster Choa Koksui was developing the organization for pranic healing and Arhatic Yoga and all the books, the CDs, the classes, which is considered the Institute for Inner Studies in the Philippines, is that he wanted the organization to run not based on donations. He wanted the organization to run based on selling books, selling CDs, selling classes, and licensing fees to keep the machine going. Because if you're dependent on outside people, then you're always going to be asking for money, asking for donations, and you're kind of at the whim of the marketplace versus just going into the marketplace and adding value, right? So I like how, and Grandmaster Cho was a very, very successful businessman, right? He was a successful businessman, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for capitalism. I'm all about adding value to people's lives in exchange for money or something, right? In some kind of exchange. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love that. What was I going to say about adding value? Yeah. So there's a social media expert called Gary V, or Gary Vaynerchuk, and he founded Vander Media with his brother, I think maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and they do over $100 million in sales every single year. And their specialty is marketing and social media and helping companies have a huge brand and huge awareness on social media so everyone knows about it. And I like his perspective on adding value. He says that he always wants to add, in a relationship between him and another person or his company with another company, he wants to add 51% of the value in that relationship at a minimum. Meaning he wants the other person or other company to get more value out of the exchange and out of the interaction than he does, right? So that's always programming his mind, his words, and his actions to show up in a person who adds value, adds value, adds value, adds value. I mean, he took his family company, which was a wine store in New Jersey, which I actually used to live right next to, and within 6 years, he brought it from like $7 million a year in revenue to over $50 million a year in revenue in 7 years. Think about that. That's pretty impressive. What did he have to do in order to reach that target? He had to add more value. Shannon, I'm not mistake. He had to add more value to the people that he was working with. So whenever people, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but when people get squirrely or weird about asking for money for a product or service that they're offering, you have to examine that, because if you truly offer an amazing product or service that can improve the quality of the lives of the people that you're working with, you should be super grateful to receive compensation for that. For instance, there's a program that I developed. It took me about 11 years to develop it, and I've been refining it ever since, called the Inner Transformation Package. It's a 10-week program on how to use energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality to transform the 4 major areas of your life: your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your spiritual growth and development. That program is $5,000, right? To work with me for those 10 weeks with that program is $5,000. It's my premier program. And people would go, $5,000? How can you ask $5,000 for helping people? Or how can you ask $5,000 for energy healing? And energy is free. Energy is all around us, right? Because somebody had to codify on how to do that. And that was Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui's work, his life work. And I think to myself, doing this work for 15 years, I think to myself, that person no longer has that drug addiction. That person no longer has a smoking addiction. That person's marriage got saved. That person has reunited with his children. That person no longer has excruciating, debilitating back pain. Okay, what's that worth? Other methods and other practices this person has tried, or persons have tried, were unsuccessful. So then they come see somebody like me who can help them through that process, and they may pay $1,000, they may pay $5,000, they may pay even more. But if the result that you're getting is something that will benefit you for the next 10, 15, 20 years or more, was it worth it? Right? So if you have a product or service that adds a tremendous amount of value to the lives of other people, don't worry about the price. I mean, you have to understand the market, obviously. It's like if you're wanting to come up with a soda drink that competes directly with Coca-Cola, and you're charging $10 for a can of soda, and Coca-Cola is charging $2 for a can of soda, you have to justify why yours is 5 times more expensive. And maybe you can do that. Or an energy drink or something like that, right? So the takeaway from today's talk is about healthy attachment and healthy detachment. If you're in a loving, as relationships go, if you're in a loving relationship where things are going well for you and the other person, you are healthily attached. But if that relationship starts going south and it starts becoming unhealthy and abusive and you're still attached to that relationship, you need to detach. The problem in our current society is that as soon as it gets a little bit difficult, as soon as it gets a little bit tough, as soon as it gets a little bit, as soon as there's some small misunderstandings between you and your partner, Adriana, namaste, you detach, right? And then you don't learn the lesson, you don't become a better person, you don't have awareness, and then you get involved in the next relationship, you attach to that relationship, and then 6 months later, what happens? The exact same thing from the other relationship, because the lessons have not been learned. And I'm just as guilty, if not more guilty, than each and every one of you that are watching this live stream about healthy attachment, unhealthy attachment, healthy detachment, unhealthy detachment. People have an assumption, how can I say this? People have an assumption that if somebody is an expert in something, that they haven't made mistakes. And my assumption would be a person is an expert when they've put themselves in a situation, they've made mistakes, they've learned from those mistakes, haven't repeated those same mistakes again, but may create other mistakes. And then with all of those mistakes, all of those learning lessons, all of that life experience, the person now has what? Wisdom. And with wisdom, they can transmit and transfer that wisdom to other people to alleviate their pain, their sorrow, and suffering. I have done, in relationships, I've done a tremendous amount of inner and outer work. I've made a tremendous amount of mistakes. I've learned so much. Some mistakes are still blind spots for me, and I'm still tweaking and working those out. But other ones, I can see the lesson now from miles away. Miles away. Which is kind of funny because have you ever been in a situation in a relationship and something surprises you, or you consider it that it came from out of nowhere? You're like, I had no idea. I never saw that coming. I didn't know that person could do that or would do that, right? I can almost guarantee you that there were signs and clues along the way, little baby red flags, that that person was going to show up in a certain way, and you were just not practicing awareness, not practicing discernment, not practicing deeper understanding. Because if you did, you would have seen it much earlier, and you could have made the necessary corrections in the relationship along the way, either sitting down and having that conversation or ending the relationship entirely, right? But relationships are very, very interesting because when you're dealing with relationships, it's not a task management process. It's a people management process, right? So Grandmaster Toho Koksui says, managing tasks are easy, but managing people are difficult because people have their own ways of doing things, their own viewpoints, their own thoughts, their own kind of feelings, their own dynamics, and their own karma. A task is a task is a task. But people are far more complicated than a task. So we have to treat people with dignity, with respect, with compassion, with understanding, and all of the rest of that in order to do the right thing. Make sense? Good. So do you guys have any questions, comments, clarifications on what we covered today? We covered a couple topics. We were covering detachment, waffles, and capitalism. kind of all over the place, but hopefully you got some value out of today's talk. And if you did, definitely share it on your Facebook page, your personal or professional page, because if you got value out of it, most likely the people in your network will also get value out of it. That being said, for those of you who are looking for healing, whether a one-on-one session or you're looking to do a big package of healing sessions, coaching sessions, and homework assignments to move your life forward, go to ChristianRLong.com, ChristianRLong.com, and schedule a consultation with me. If you don't know what it's like to work with me and you have some questions and some uncertainties, schedule a time for us to talk, and I will basically walk you from A to Z on what it is that you want, how we can help you get what you want, and then putting you on the calendar. That's it. Super, super easy. And that's it, guys. So I have to head off to a healing, but much, much love and appreciation for each and every one of you sharing your energies with us today. Hopefully it was clear, not so sounding like I'm 20 feet underwater, and you guys are on top of the surface of the water. So I hope that helps. Let me know if it does. Let me know if it doesn't. And I look forward to connecting with you guys tomorrow. As you guys know, we do these live streams each and every day, Monday through Sunday, different times of the day. And that's it. So this is Christian R. Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful Wednesday, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Oh, it happened again. Okay. Thanks, Anna. It happened again with the sound. What's going on with the sound? I guess I'll have to look it up. Because when I did the replay from yesterday, several people were saying they were having a hard time hearing. It was going in and out. And then when I did the replay was fine. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Could be my connection. Could be my connection here in my healing space. On and off. Weird. All right. I'll look into it again. We're getting closer. Love you guys. Atma. Namaste. Bye-bye. Sound is low. I'll look into it, guys.